So we're doing something a little different from what usual.
Yeah, man.
Usually it's always we are, working on the song or working on some music. So today we actually get to sit down
And chat.
and chit chat. That's
Yeah.
why this program is called MixChat lah.
Yep,
you know?
yep.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this, man.
No worries, man. When you told me about it, I was like, yeah, sure, for 100%. I've seen some of the episodes and I think they're great. And everything that you've been doing, is just amazing, and it gives a different insight to what the industry is like, lah. So I think I'm more than happy to come on and just talk.
Well, I appreciate those words. That's very, very nice. It's more of I do it for myself. I tell everyone that it's more of a very selfish thing. First, more of all, it's more like I want to grab people and just sit down and talk with them. Especially people who obviously most of the people I talk with are like producers, engineers, musicians themselves, and just to be able to be in a situation where we're not in the studio, we're not tracking something, we're not working on something, and then get to chat on some of the deeper issues out there lah.
Correct. Yeah, because the only time we get to chat is during the breaks, when we're tracking, right? So usually it's like, when we're done tracking or when we, go for like a quick toilet break or something, those chats, happen then.
And then back in the days, when we have less commitment, less stuff, a lot more free time.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, okay, after jamming session or something like that, okay, let's go mama, and then lepak until 2, 3 a.m. in the morning.
Correct.
It's like, okay, there's no time for that nowadays.
So this is that lepak session lah.
This is something like that,
Yeah.
Imagine all those late night conversations that you have with your friends, your bands, and you're talking about this and that and all the stuff. But now we're just documenting it lah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah,
man.
So maybe let's just start with, you are the one and only, right? Darren Teh, right?
Yep.
Of course, the unmistakable. So maybe just tell, people who are watching, people who are listening to this, who is Darren Teh? And where do you come from? Where'd you grow up? How was your, musically wise upbringing? What led you to this day?
Right. Cool. Yeah. So what's up? If you guys are listening in and watching, my name is Darren from the band An Honest Mistake. I play guitar and I'm the lead singer of the band. And the band's been around since 2008. It started off as an acoustic side project. I was with another band then called Army of Three, where I played bass and did backup vocals. Yeah, so it kind of just snowballed from there. It was just an acoustic project, went electric in 2009. And then we had like a few like female singers come and go. But Cheryl was the longest. She joined in 2010, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, no. Maybe, late 2009, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, right. So and then all the way till maybe 2015, that was when she went to UK to study. So the band kind of like took a different direction, with the music and with our sound and everything. So yeah, and up till now, so our music is pop punk. We've gone a little bit darker now, still embracing the whole pop punk thing and also embracing our backgrounds because all of us came from heavier backgrounds as well. But yeah, my history, oh man, that's crazy. So I was born in Penang. I moved to KL when I was 9. I moved to Kajang, and I'm glad that my dad made that move, because if it hadn't been for that, I don't think I'd be a musician and sitting here right now. So by training, I am an English teacher. So I used to teach English in art university, which is all black in Cyberjaya.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know what I know what university that is.
Yeah. So and then after that, 2009 till 2015, I was there. So I was there 6 years. And then right after that was done, I ended up working at a music venue called Laundry Bar at the Curve, which was kind of legendary, because like everybody has played there. Name it, right. Anyone at all, whether it's hip hop or singer-songwriter or rock, And then I ended up working in an artist management agency where we work with, some of the biggest names in show business here, like Ida Jabbar, Elizabeth
That was
Tan.
Paranormal, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Shout out to Prashant.
Yep.
Shout
And
out
now,
to Malacca boy.
like a boy.
Yeah.
Now they call Zeno Asia, which is
Yeah.
great. So yeah, I did that for 2 years, and then after that, I basically I was just a freelancer. I worked on Urbanscapes in 2019, which was fun. And then 2020 came, right? So 2020, I was a land surveyor, home surveyor.
Okay, yeah. To clarify for those, this is a reference. If you speak Chinese speaking, then you know what it means, like right? Land surveyor, Leong Tei Kun.
Yeah. So the past 2 years have been the hardest. Like I ended up selling some of my gear, and yeah, but I did a bunch of like freelance, like influencer marketing stuff. And now I am the branding manager for Fred Perry Malaysia, which is great. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So
I think we can mention it, right?
yeah, sure.
Mention
This is actually the first time I'm saying it out in public, because for people who know me, they know that but for the public, I've never really mentioned that, I'm in Fred Perry, but now they will know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super thankful for this job. It's going great, and it's kind of in line with everything that I'm doing. It's got so much roots in music and fashion and culture, and especially like the punk and ska, subculture. So I think that is really, all these things that I've done in the past have led me to this job. And shout out to Faris from Deja Disco. It's because of him that I got this job.
And I mean, your path is definitely very fascinating. I actually know your brother first.
Yeah.
I know your brother Kevin first, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, because both of us have Kevin and I both of us like in the same field. We're both also like in audio production as well.
Yep.
And then he had his band, right? Broken Scar.
Yep.
Then of course I think the first gig where I actually watched you performing as a solo acoustic act as Honest Mistake.
Right.
Was at Laundry, right?
Was it at Laundry?
Oh, okay, I can't remember. It was one venue.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure, again, memory could be...
No, I think I was alone, and it was because my first ever gig was in One Cafe, the original One Cafe in Kota Raya, right?
Yeah.
And I think you were there because there was a band that you recorded, and that they wanted you there or something. If I'm not wrong,
I'm trying to recall, because if you say One Cafe, right, I don't remember going there, or it could be a one-off thing.
Yeah. But anyway, so it must have been Laundry then.
This it's not relevant. No one's gonna care. This is how long ago?
25 years ago,
people
maybe?
cannot cannot be 25, 15 lah.
Okay lah, yeah.
25 years.
Yeah, okay,
goes back
15 years lah, 15
goes
years.
back to the 90s.
90s, yeah.
As you can see, right, we musicians, math is not our strong suit.
We can only count to 4.
Oh no, then sound guys are worse. We only can count to 2 or 3 the most, if some who are, again, these are all inside internal jokes lah,
Yeah.
Test 1 2 1 2. You can never go to 3.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, so your journey and your path is really fascinating, because you describe moving from Penang to Kajang, then getting into music, playing in different bands, Army of Three first of all, then Honest Mistake, and looking at how Honest Mistake, right? I am very safe to say, and I can quote, very very often you will see, right, in articles or anywhere, AHM is always described as one of the hardest working Malaysian bands.
Yeah. I think that's kind of cool, that people describe us as that. And I want to believe that they truly see the hard work that we've all put in, because when I was teaching 9 to 5. Once work is done, I'm organizing gigs, I'm performing, I'm recording, I remember the first year when I started working, that was 2009, September, right? We were jamming twice a week. It was Wednesday and Friday, and every one of us would come from different places. Leonard at that time, he had a crazy job, and he would still make it, So I think it was really cool, for us to still be known for that. And I
Yeah.
believe we have been working hard,
Mhm.
maybe not as hard as before, but the working hard part would be, getting shows, begging people for shows, releasing music, playing shows and releasing like merchandise. We've got like t-shirts, we've done guitar tuners, guitar pedals, water bottles, all kinds of stuff, So I
Yeah.
think, hard work is something that every band should really, put in their time and effort, because it's not just, and I've been saying this for the past 2 years, that it's not just about the streams,
Mhm.
While the streams are great as a band, but the strong foundation is built, by working hard and being close to your band members
Mhm.
and growing friendships and relationships around the industry,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I see so many bands, right? Like, they're playing all the key shows now, but in 5 years to come, will they still be doing that? Will the fans, will they still want to watch them, and stuff like that? So I think like for us, we've always just kept our head down and we just, would want to just put out music and, let the music speak for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the words that really describe it is consistency.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And AHM has, I think everyone will agree lah, right? Unequivocally agree 100% that AHM is always putting out consistently every year, putting out some new material in one shape or form or another. You guys are always doing something. So be it from the EP then to the albums,
Yep.
and then doing an acoustic album,
Acoustic album.
and then not only just the album's not enough. You
Yeah,
do a
yeah.
showcase as well,
Yeah.
and a recording and an album version of the showcase,
Right. Yep.
with the DVD and everything, and then moving on to corporate EP of which
Corporate
covers
EP, yep.
and putting out Raya songs every
Yep.
year, and then almost every year, very consistently, you guys put out like a Christmas
Christmas song.
cover
Yep.
every
Yep.
every year for quite a number. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we just wanted to do it like how the American bands would do it, like all these cool pop punk bands, that are on like Hopeless Records or like Fearless or like any of these cool rock labels. They have always, released in this fashion, EP, album, acoustic album, some holiday EP, and then a remix album, and I think, in the past, we've been around for like, about 10-ish years, we've achieved all of that, and I think we just wanted to stand out and be different, because we just can't be releasing this like same things all the time, and we want to keep it fresh, So, for example, doing a Christmas EP in Malaysia, I don't think it's ever been done before. I don't think anybody in Malaysia has ever written an original Christmas track, because obviously Christmas isn't as big in Malaysia, as in the West. But I think we just wanted to be different. Yeah. So even for like the Raya song, like,
yes. Yeah.
like I don't think it's got anything to do with like race or religion. It's just us as Malaysians, celebrating.
Yeah.
And I think, it's pretty rare for a like
non-majority Malay band
non-majority
lah.
Malay band to write a Raya song, So even with that Raya song, the idea behind it was we'll write it like a holiday Christmas song where it's not so much about the celebration, but it's about the idea of being together with the family, So I think that was, kind of like the approach. And, it was cool that Diana Daniel came on board and
I mean,
So-
I love it. I mean, there's so much material that you've written, that you put out, right? Not only the original stuff, all the Christmas stuff and all that, and all the covers, but you're very prolific with all your songwriting and putting out of all the material, and that's really something that's. I always tell a lot of bands, hey, you want to have a good example, right? Look to HM, look to An Honest Mistake, look to Darren and what they're doing to sort of keep themselves relevant, right? Just by being consistent and to be continuously on the radar, because I think, You know, you and I, we both know that attention spans
Yep.
in this is an attention market economy.
Correct.
We're not really, we're trying to get people's attention.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that is very tough for any band that's
That's
coming
true.
up now.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I mean, you staying consistent is the only way, lah. And I think I've also figured out like a formula as well, because I can't just be doing music. I can't just be putting out songs.
Mhm.
I can't be I mean, that is, the core of it.
Mm.
But you got to branch out and do other things as well. So
Yeah.
when I was working in artist management, I saw that as an opportunity. Like, hey, this is something that I could possibly do as well. So I got into a little bit of that. And I work with Nadira, now known as Nadi, which is great. And now she's moved on to another
Yeah.
management, and working with like Wanted Symphony and another artist called Crazy. So this whole thing, is another way to kind of like stay relevant as well and being consistent, because you may not be performing music, but you are still involved in the scene as a whole. And this other thing that I figured out way earlier in our career was organizing gigs. Because when we were playing shows, the big guys were like Reza, and Ming, who did Cross Borders, right? And we've got Jasmine, who did the more indie stuff. So in the English scene, it was mainly these three. And then, you've got the bigger shows, like the hits shows and like the extra shows and all these things. And then you got the branded events. But how many times can you play with shows with the same organizers? Because they usually create a series, and you can't be at it every single month.
Correct.
Yeah. So I figured it out earlier on in my career that, okay, if we are not getting shows, we'll start organizing shows. And then we'll end up becoming like, okay, you want to go to a show, you have to go to an Honest Mistake show, and you want to play a show, you play the, with an Honest Mistake,
That's
that kind of thing. So, and that has kind of opened my eyes to a lot of new bands, and that created a desire in me. And I guess, I feel that attachment to seeing how that if I wasn't given the opportunity by Reza and Jasmine and all these guys earlier on, I would not have gone anywhere with my career, right? So now I am kind of like giving it back to the community and encouraging, and also kind of like educating like the younger bands as well, that, and creating more opportunities for them. And when I am creating more opportunities for them, they win, I win too, because I'm also moving up in the ranks, So I think it's not an ego trip, but it's more, there's a bigger cause to it, which is for the sake of the scene. Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's awesome. Obviously, we were already doing that back then during the laundry bar days.
Yep.
And now, with you're doing this new series is called Hi, I'm New, right? Or something like
Hello,
that.
I'm New.
It's Hello, I'm New.
Yep.
Yeah, that's such a that's such an interesting, memorable title. And of course, I was there at the gig that you organized a few weeks back, right? Or was it last month? 1 or 2 months ago?
The one that we organized, the Lonely Hearts Club.
Oh, that's Lonely Hearts Club. Yeah,
That's the big one. Yeah. So with Hello, I'm New, it's kind of like a re-emergence, I guess, or resurgence, right? Of a concept that I had done when I was in laundry called the Spotlight.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, it was basically, highlighting new acts, up and coming, young, college, and anybody, if you wanted to play, come and play.
Yep.
So Hello, I'm New is similar to that. But I figured, let's just give it a new name lah. The Spotlight feels so old school, right?
Yeah, very old school, yeah.
So everybody wants to go with some cool name. So Hello, I'm New is that lah. Yeah. So I've already done 3 editions.
Yeah.
In November and December, there might not be any, but I will still be organizing shows, because I was just talking to a friend that the next show is going to be on 26th of November, and then the next one after that is on 17 December. Yeah, so those will be different concepts. I am also thinking of growing the space. The B is an amazing venue, and I want to be able to to get more people on board, so I can be the one to be the main guy, but then, okay, let's partner, let's do other things, so the one on the 26th is going to be a bigger one, but that platform, Hello I'm New, is really for people. And speaking of platforms, I've also got a radio show which is on Rakita.
That's right.
It's called Locala, and this is by far, I feel like it's such a blessing because this show is the only show that plays 100% local music for 2 hours straight in a week. And every song that is on that show gets played on the radio on regular hours as well. So I think, overall on Rakita, they play almost, majority local music. And I think that is cool lah. Yeah, so I mean, not to discount all the other stations. I think the other stations are doing great as well, and they've inserted, especially like Hits and Fly, they are inserting more and more local stuff, even on Mix and Light and stuff. Like our track, If I Told You This Was Real, gets played on Mix all the time, which is great. Yeah, so, I think with platforms like this, that I've kind of like created and fortunate enough, for people to see my desire and relevance, I think that's, it's kind of like a blessing, I guess.
Yeah. So what's the next 2 shows? You mentioned one November 26th.
Yeah, so November 26th.
What's that going to be?
That one is a collaboration with Northern Music Fest. So Northern Music Fest, happened a couple of months ago, and then last week I played at, it's kind of like a spin-off from Northern Music Festival called Run for Cover Fest. Yeah, so all these punk bands, put together, and they would cover like some of their favorite like punk bands, right? Okay. Yeah, so a band covered like Green Day, another covered Paramore, another covered Nirvana. Yeah, so Foo Fighters, So I think, the trend. And this is actually kind of a hot topic too, like in the Twitter world, in the scene, people are talking about, oh, kenapa ada show tribute je, So I think, I think that is kind of, it's a cool thing, like in the past, this used to happen, right? So, and then that trend kind of like disappeared, and I think now it's coming back, but in a new form. Yeah. Yeah, so tribute gigs are, people like it for the nostalgia, and I think people also just like the fact that, hey, this band is playing my favorite band's songs, but I'm going to go and check this band out because they are also a very good band, So I think, so anyway, Run for Cover is happening in KL as well because it's supposed to be a northern thing. Yeah. That was in Penang, so this one is in KL. Right. 26 November, that's the date. Yeah.
Very cool. Who do we look forward to? Are you guys playing?
Yeah. We're going to play.
Right?
We're going to play. So but the concept is you're supposed to cover one band, But for us, I don't think we now, with our jobs and everything, that we physically have the time to meet up, to jam songs and to learn or relearn songs and stuff like that. So we are doing a emo medley instead of, covering just like Boys Like Girls or whatever.
Because I imagine there's a lot of work that needs go into it. You need to rework the arrangement. You want to come up with your own unique twist to it. Because otherwise you're just buta just covering the thing. Correct. Then you sound like you're jamming.
Yeah, might as well just play Spotify. Yeah. You get the original.
That is so cool, man. And then another one in December, that is going to be...
Yeah, so the December one would be a Christmas thing, but I'm thinking... because every year since 2017, we've been doing like the Honest Christmas gig, right? So 2017 was at the B and it was completely free. I think about 500 people came through. It was 12 to 12 and that was cool, right? So 2018, it was a small venue in Kota Damansara and it was in Madden's studio in Pals. Yeah, so that was crazy because we tied up with Kyo. So anybody who went to the show would go into Kyo for free for emo night. So that was cool as well. So that was 2018. 2019, we did a big show at 6 in the City. So that was a cool like warehouse vibe, nice stage and everything.
Are they still around?
They're still around, but they don't do music stuff because they're involved with like production. So then 2020 came and we're like, okay, what should we do? So 2020, we did a live stream. Yeah. So we recorded at home and got a few more friends to record from various places, and then we put the video together. So that was fun.
Yeah.
But I think last year, what did we do last year? I don't think we did anything last year, because the pandemic was, very taxing on everybody mentally. So like, okay lah, maybe let's just not do anything lah.
2021 was actually the longest stretch of lockdown. It wasn't 2020, it was in 2021.
Yeah, so this year I think we might want to bring it back. But I'm also talking to the guys from Northern Music Fest that, maybe let's just work together again and do other stuff. Yeah, because like for us, I'm also like, my desire is also to, and has always been, like my concept when I organize shows, it would never be genre specific, and it has never been like just for one scene. Yeah, so it's not only like hardcore bands or like, punk bands or like just the R&B or hip hop bands. It's always mixed.
Yeah.
So this year, on 17th of December, I've actually spoken to Tiga Soul, so they are a soul vocal group.
Yes, yeah.
And very, very good. I've also spoken to Balan Cash, so he's an amazing guy. But I'm also thinking of involving, some of the hardcore bands and the punk bands as well, so it's a good mixture. Yeah. So I might do it again with the guys from Northern Music Fest, because they obviously, I've always operated solo on my own, but they have manpower, they've got a crew going, so I think, putting together our strengths, I think that'll be good lah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you actually bring forward as well. That you collaborate and you work with so many people and with different people.
Yeah,
because you can't. It's no way one band can handle everything.
Right.
Let alone within the band, there's no one person that can handle everything. Well, unless there are some exceptions where you are one man band, then it's a different thing lah. Yeah, but when it comes to anything bigger than that, the scope of organizing gigs, organizing festivals, and managing artists, you need a team.
Yeah, for sure.
Once again, it's great lessons that people can learn. People can always look up, and especially up and coming bands should really look up to, Abang Darren. do you get called that now?
Yeah, I guess, like the girls in Tiga Soul, they say, oh, since you are like taiko in the scene, I'm like, okay, don't lie, Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think, my goal is, to always educate. I think that comes from the background of teaching. It's always like teaching and encouraging and educating people, and I think my world kind of like opened up a little bit more when I started going out of the country to play, so more opportunities were created outside of Malaysia. And then these bridges were built. And then the idea of forming like a regional thing started actually in 2012. Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. But it was very hard to bring it to pass, to make it happen, because there's just so many like parts, to put together. Then I stumbled upon this thing called Showcase Festival. So Showcase Festivals are basically, festivals like South by Southwest, or like MuCon and stuff like that. And a lot of people think that, wow, you go to US, wow, go and play South by Southwest, shock, I mean, but the thing is, it really isn't that shock, because it is essentially, showcase festivals are basically
you pay to play,
and it's a business meeting. You the people that you are playing to, are not people who like your music. They are there to create business opportunities for music. So I think when I ended up at Zandari Fest, which is in Korea, in Seoul, they have it every year. And my world really opened up in 2016, because like prior to that, I was already doing stuff, similar to that, connecting regions, right? And 2016 came, I was like, wow, there's just so much more that can be done. There's so many opportunities. Now we've got friends like even in Tajikistan, that we could possibly go to, So the goal is really, to extend our arms, and to go a little bit further and creating more opportunities for people, especially artists in Malaysia, to go abroad as well. The guys from The Weeknd, they are always, at showcase festivals, and also the guys from Soundscape. Mark and all that.
Mark.
So, if you guys want to go to Taiwan, Mark is your ticket, all right?
Shout out to Mark Waihu.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Soundscape. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think these people, they figured it out earlier on, because that's how they've been having like Taiwanese artists and Indonesian artists come over and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I only discovered it in 2016, but because of the limited resources that I have, therefore I am not able to bring these guys over. Yeah. But I believe in time, we will be able to do more of that.
Yeah. And that's an absolutely fantastic thing, man. I mean, there's always things that you can always debate. Like if you talk about a band's career growth, and yeah, you could always try to make it here in your own home country, to try to tap into the radio, the mainstream market. And unfortunately, here in Malaysia, if you want to tap into that, unfortunately, it means having to write in BM and Malay. But on the other hand, and that's my opinion lah, you could be as successful as you can here locally in BM. But then if you want to take it outside internationally, like it or not, most of the time it's got to be English lah.
Yeah, that's true. I think you're limited. I think what Malaysia is doing, when people say like, you do music, can make money. Here's the thing, doing music in Malaysia, you can make money. I mean, like, it's not just performing, And even if you're talking about just performing, the guys that are playing at the bars like six nights a week, they are making money. With the amount of gear that they're holding, they're expensive stuff. So they are making money. You can make money, but it's not just from performing. There's management, there's production, there's so many levels to it. But if we needed to segregate things, when I was in the art management agency, I realized that there's such a big segregation between the indies and the mainstream. Mainstream, you got a full ecosystem already. You got clients that want to pay, you got artists that are great, you got producers that will be paid, to produce their music. The ecosystem is healthy. So truly, if you want to make money in Malaysia, do Malay music, but your limitation is you can only exist in Malaysia, the triangle, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. That's why there's like this Anugerah. I think it's
Bintang Popular, or is it
Bintang
Planet
Popular
or something?
or Planet,
it's based in Singapore.
It's based in Singapore.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's a MediaCorp thing. Yeah, so there's this thing, but it's only this triangle, right? When you do Malay music, so it's quite hard to exist outside of like these three countries. Like the closest is Philippines. You can't even go there because if you're singing in Malay, they probably won't understand you. Maybe they'll understand that one word, which is anak.
Some words are the same. Same
correct,
meaning.
correct. So so I think, but that being said, like the indies, there's just more opportunities. I was scrolling a website, and shout out to Riz from King Lychee in Hong Kong. With Unite Asia, he's just doing an amazing thing. Unite Asia is a website where they talk about Asian heavy music news. If you're a pop artist, they will tell you don't send your music. I don't want to listen to it.
Exactly.
They've said it before.
I follow them.
Yeah. So I think they're great. So I've discovered a lot of bands from Malaysia because I'm always on the Malaysian tab, and there are a couple of artists that are signed to like German labels and Japanese labels and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow,
never heard of them.
Never heard of them, but they're doing things outside of Malaysia. And I think that's great. So opportunities are everywhere, So, but I also believe that with everything that I've learned, when I was doing work in the mainstream world, I'm just taking all those things and just applying them in the indie world now and trying to bridge that as well. So, for example, there was a Volkswagen Fest that happened a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
And I pulled together a bunch of talents who are not mainstream at all. They are all from the independent scene. But Volkswagen is obviously a very, very mainstream brand.
Correct, yeah.
And connecting them, for me, meant like, okay, I've done something because the clients said yes. And because they engaged me to put the Battle of the Bands together. So, with that kinds of opportunity, that is bridging essentially mainstream and indie. So I just want to be able to create more opportunities for that to happen. Because I think there's money to be made, but it shouldn't just belong in the mainstream. It should be shared and it should exist in both worlds. But I also believe that the indies, we all like all the independent bands or managers and all that need to step up as well.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
because stepping up, whether it's in writing an email or crafting a proper message, or sending your files out, there's just so many layers to it. But it is essentially a business.
Yeah.
I think bands need to understand that in order to survive, you need to think of it as a business. That way, you will be able to, figure out strategies and ways to kind of like maneuver yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you're taking the fun away from things, but then if you have that part figured out, that will actually keep you sane and happy.
Yeah.
Majority of bands break up because they got poor management or like argue in the band like so
Yeah. And end up just getting frustrated.
correct. Correct.
And because they did not, they focus so much on these things, on the jamming side,
Yep.
the hang out together and writing song side. But, all these things within this whole link need to be there together.
Yep.
They need to exist.
That's true.
That's great, man.
So it's growth lah, I believe, like bands need to grow. When I was in Penang, I was talking to some friends there and we were talking about this band that, went on tour with us like in 2011, I think. And we did, we played so much, together and, kind of like our lives was sort of a little bit intertwined, right? And then these guys just disappeared. The reason why this band no longer exists is because they were caught in the friend zone, like the friend. Like,
I get what you mean.
era,
the friend,
Yeah, so like, we're friends, I'm writing songs about our friends and whatever, we are a big group, okay, but then what happens after that? So there was no growth, and that's that kind of the arrow line, that destroyed everything, because they couldn't move on, they couldn't grow. So,
exactly. It's you got to go beyond your buddy thing, or I know it's like the word they like to toss around. Oh, it's for the brotherhood, or sisterhood, right?
Yeah.
And we're doing this, for the friendship and all that. Yeah.
I think those are key elements.
Yes.
Key elements that will keep that is step one that will keep the band together. But step two is what happens next.
Yeah.
Like for example, a lot of people don't believe that as an honest mistake, we never hang out. We only hang out when there are shows. It's either before or after or during jamming that we hang out. So now jamming is in my house. So, they come in. It's more lax lah, we're not paying anything, so they come in late, so we start late and then we end late, So but it's those times that we actually hang out and talk, But also social media updates us lah, so we kind of know what's happening. But we don't hang out on a regular basis, Like I don't even talk to the guys like every single day, So that actually has kept our friendships healthy, because we're not in each other's faces all the time. So that gives us breathing space, to explore and just to be our own individual lah.
100%, man. I get you 100%. It's exactly my same opinion as well. We don't, like me and the rest of my band, we don't, exactly like what you said, we don't hang out with each other all the time, there's always that romantic notion, let's all rent an apartment when we're young, get kids, and no, when we're young kids, not get kids, but like, or hang together so we can jam together all the time and whatever. But when you're in your face every day, you see everyone's bad habits here and there. You would just end up hating each other. And then break up lah.
That's true. That's true. And I think, like when you go on tour, that's when you really know a person, Like, for example, like our guys, when we travel, I'm always, with the plan. Okay, we need to do this, whatever, right? Because we have like to go here by this time.
Itinerary, yeah, exactly.
So, and then the rest of the guys, some are just good to follow. Some just want to sleep in, and sometimes they don't want to do anything. So everybody's personalities, would come into play. And then now you cannot run away, you're stuck together, for like the next how many days, right? So that's when whether you will make it as a band or not lah,
Make it or break it.
Make it or break it, yeah. But I think as adults, traveling now as adults, you will be able to tolerate, each other better and stuff like that, and be a little bit more courteous and more gracious lah. Yeah.
I think that just comes with the territory of just becoming a little older.
Exactly.
A little more mature, a little bit more emotionally stable.
Yep, that's true.
It's not like you're in your 20s where you're young and reckless and rock and roll and all that.
Yeah, I think we've passed that stage that now we are like, okay, let's do things a certain way. Let's just be more what is the word? More purposeful, and so that everything is laid out easier. Yeah. Even for like example, like recording, like now things, when we record stuff, I just do stuff at home, do all the demos, send to the guys, to check and all that. And then we get into the studio. In the past, we would spend like 6 days, in the studio, like every other day, to kind of like record. But now we're like, okay, we've got jobs, let's just take it slower, but still create like good music. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. It's just more, it's just a different way of doing things lah.
Yeah.
Because I mean people change, life circumstances change, people they have other commitments, family, jobs and all that. So we just be open to adapt to different ways of working lah. It doesn't always have to be this way or that way.
Yeah. Because even like the other day, I think we wanted to jam, and I was like asking the guys, I say, hey, it's public holiday, you guys want to jam? Because, in the past, we'd be like, yeah, public holiday, come, let's jam, we get to meet up again. And then Ian, he's like, oh, I just want to chill at home. And I'm like, yeah, I get you. I just wanted to ask to see if you guys wanted to, but I really just wanted to just lay in bed and watch TV.
Yeah. And it's cool that, I mean, again, back to just being more sensible, more mature and understanding is like, okay lah, that's fine. Don't have to like, get upset, no commitment or whatever or something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's just, just trying to point fingers and try to blame people whatsoever. Nothing positive comes out of just being angry and bitter. Yeah. So talk a little bit, because you touched now a little bit about the production process, right? So, obviously my channel we talk a lot about recording and production. So maybe you can give like a, of how has it transformed? You mentioned you used to jam. How do you work on the songs nowadays?
In the past, we would jam, and this, we would jam, record our songs on the phone, and then after that, use that as kind of like a demo and say like, okay lah, I think it sounds good lah, and then we'll go straight into the studio, right? And then we'll figure things out later on in the studio, we'll figure out parts, additional parts and stuff. And I think there's beauty in that form, that way of writing as well, because that's where like your creativity juices will start to flow together as a band, and then when you get into the studio, then you're thinking, hey, I want to do this, hey, I want to do that, so you get more creative. And I think having that experience has made things, a lot easier for us now, because in 2020, when the lockdown happened, I was like, okay, we really got nothing to do. How are we going to write music? And I had bought a plugin. I bought Easy Drummer, and all our new songs are recorded using Easy Drummer, not real drums anymore. Except I don't give a damn, that was real drums. I bought the plugin, I think it was 2018. Sometime at the end of 2018, I bought it, and just for fun, just to mess around with it, I paid for it. And I never did anything until 2020, because 2019, we were still working and stuff like that, and I was like, okay lah, never mind lah, it's okay lah, just Yeah, so I just messed around with it a little bit, and it started with just for fun covers. I think it was a cover, and then I think it was a lockdown, and I wanted to do some heavy stuff, and I was so fascinated.
Yeah.
Wow, this one can do double pedal like this. So that really, for me, the rhythm section starts. First. That's how everybody. I guess not everybody, but that's how I write. I write with the rhythm first, and then I program all of that, and I was like, okay, I think this is going somewhere. So I'm experiencing things, and I'm learning on the go, and also reflecting on all the things that we've done, together with you, since 2009. Like when we would watch you, do stuff, and where you would mix, and how you would adjust stuff and all that. So I'm just like thinking, okay, how can I do this? So that process of being in the studio here has, translated into my room. So everything that I'm doing now, it just makes it a whole lot easier. I'm writing songs at home with Easy Drummer as the main thing, and of course, there are some free plugins, and there are some that I bought as well. The process is actually a lot better, and now I fully understand when people say, "Oh, I'm doing a pre-production session." In the past, I was like, what lah pre-production? This one lah, my phone lah, pre-production. But yeah, so right now I get to have control and decide, earlier on, before actually going to the studio and having an overall picture of how things would sound like.
Yep.
It may be some metal guitar plugin that I'm using, but at least I know that, okay, as long as the chunk is there, then we can rework it in the studio with the tones and stuff. When I'm at home, it's super basic. I just write the skeleton, and I will do the bass. I wouldn't even play the bass. I would just record bass using bass synth, which a lot of it has ended up on like the tracks. From there, then I would do the drums, I'll program them, and then I'll ask Ian, if these are beats that he could actually play. If not, then we'll change it. And then then I'll put in the vocals, and then usually I'd get feedback from Sunny and Ian first, bassist and drummer, and then the last piece would be Thomas, where he'll put in his guitar licks. So I think traditionally, we've learned by being in the studio with you that usually it's drums, bass, guitars, and then vocals. And that is kind of like the way I do things as well at home. Then it's just a whole lot of experimenting. I think Thomas has had a hard time, trying to figure out like the new songs, because he would have a surge of ideas, and then he'll just put everything in, and then I would have to add and minus and chop it here and there, and then sometimes he'd get pissed off as well, because hey, why you not use that part, and why is it so soft in the mix or whatever. So, but then again, I think growing older, has taught us to be a little bit more diplomatic, a bit more respectful as well, and to understand that it is not always getting your way is not always the key, to making great music. It's a whole give and take kind of situation. And even I guess with mixing, like when you're working with a mixing engineer, obviously a mixing engineer has more insight. So you are the artist. You can't make all the calls, because the mixing engineer is going to tell you, hey, too many things or whatever, it's not going to sound good, right? So I think that is also something
that's what I hope,
But some fellas degil lah, they just want it lah, Then after that, the song don't do well, then they say, the engineer for your fault. Like they turn around, right? But I think it's a whole learning curve for me. So 2020 all the way through 2021, and now, I'm just like constantly discovering new things, and I'm one of the best teachers is obviously YouTube, but for a person like me, I learn by observing. So I like watching people. And in fact, that's how I actually learned how to play the guitar. Because I started playing bass because my brother wanted to play Guns N' Roses punya guitar solo. Okay, the Sweet Child of Mine. So he said, okay, go and learn the bass part. So he taught me a little bit, and that's how I actually started playing bass. I started playing bass on a guitar.
Bass is first, right?
And I still look at the guitar as a bass, So from there, I just observed. I watched how he played. And when we would go to all these guitar shops and all these things, and we watch tutorials and watch like the Paul Gilbert videos, and I would just watch how they played and emulated them. So
Yeah.
I have never gone for a guitar class. I went for bass lessons, but I was already able to play then. That it was then that I understood scales and modes and all these things.
Yeah.
But still very, very, I would say beginner level lah. But everything that I've learned was by observing and talking to other people and watching YouTube videos and understanding, and just being like a sponge.
That's
Learning from
basically-
people.
being open and then just absorbing all that information. Yeah, that's very, very cool. Obviously, now you describe your production process currently now, and there's a saying that goes, the more work that you do outside of the studio, there's less. There's less that needs to be done when you step inside. So that's why, hopefully the point of pre-production being an important thing is really important.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's so cool now because now we're like, okay lah, I think we're done. Our sessions have become shorter. In the past, they were way longer. When we would come into the studio, we'll figure, hey, how this part? Okay, this part, But now everything's like, thought about and thought of and tried earlier on.
Yeah.
So when we get in, to actually record, it's just so much quicker.
Exactly.
So the process has sped up, and it's definitely made things a lot easier. Yeah.
So the writing process for you, this is how it is. But what spurred you? Let's rewind a little bit back to like 2008, 2009.
Yep.
Like when you started up, what made you start? What made you decide to perform as an honest mistake? First of all, obviously,
Right.
it started out because you were in Army of Three first, and then did that start around the same time? It branch off.
Yeah, so Army of Three started in 2005. I think I was 17, and it was cool how we met and everything. There's a whole crazy story,
Exactly.
But I think, I just want to rewind a little bit further, like how I actually started and have this desire to be in a band. And so it was, obviously my brother was already playing guitar at 14, and he was already playing, and I would see him play. And then, when he started playing like all the Mr. Big stuff and Steve Vai and Joe Satriani stuff, and that was kind of how I was introduced to all these things. So it was funny because a couple of weeks ago, I was over at my uncle's place, with my parents and all that, it was a family gathering. And my dad said that I hero worship my brother.
Wow.
And I think I still do, and I think, that's our how our relationship is. So everything that he did, I wanted to follow, so naturally when he got into a band and, he was shortly, he played briefly with John's Mistress before starting Broken Scar.
Yeah.
And when he was with Broken Scar, he had a decent amount of success. And I think, that was pretty cool. So for me, naturally, I was like, okay lah, I would also want to start a band. So, but it was when I was 14 that, I started playing in church, because 13 we started going to church. 14 I started playing, and then the guys in church would teach me and all that. And playing in church every single Saturday, Sunday, that was kind of how I kind of like really got better at, being comfortable on stage and things like that, right? And it was at about 16, that was when I had like the desire. I think I have a talent, and I think I want to use this talent and do something more, And I think, being in a small church in Kajang, it was a little bit difficult because it was hard for them to kind of like see like, oh yeah, you play music. Why don't you play music in church, And I saw myself beyond church, So then after that, I was like, okay, I met a couple of people, and they knew of the bandmates, Army of Three, like Jeff, Alex, and Edmund.
Yep.
And that's how we came together, we connected. And then, 2005, I was 17, 18. That was when I joined. And I think 5, 6, and 8, 3 years later, I felt like, okay, because by then I was already in uni. And I was like, okay, let's just jam for fun, write songs. And I was performing at uni. I had all these like funny songs written. I was like, okay lah, let's just go and play lah. And then from then, I took it a little bit more seriously because Army of 3 at that time, was performing quite consistently. So I was like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
So it was that gig at one cafe that my brother was playing. And then I asked him if he could ask the organizer if I could play that one song.
Yeah.
And then organizer said, yeah, so that was when I played, January 2008. And then I think there was another time that my brother played a gig in No Black Tie that he asked me to come up and play my song. And that was when I felt like, okay, I think Honest Mistake actually can jalan lah. You know? Yeah, so it was an acoustic side project because I was really into Dashboard Confessional and all the emo bands that also had an acoustic version of their songs.
Correct.
So yeah, then it kind of like just went on from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, fast forward, then here you are now lah.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, I mean, your story is important because there could be a kid out there listening. Maybe not in Kajang, maybe in another. Because always people say Kajang is small town. They consider it small town.
Yeah.
People will say that. In a small town, you feel like there's no opportunities. There's no chance for you to make it in music or something like that. Or you need to be in KL. It's always like that. But sometimes you never know. There are always ways and opportunities, and for people to know that there's a path. And to learn from your career path, not only in music, but you've gone through like so many areas in that's industry related. And from that has exposed you to, like you said lah, artist management, how the industry works, the music business side, radio, and all that. These are all really, there's so many areas to learn from and hone and develop your skills in this industry.
That's true.
It's not just about playing on stage.
It's not just about that.
That's fun. That's where the fun is. But there's also a lot of other areas as well that if you open your eyes, you can sometimes find that, hey, that's something I could do as well.
Exactly. Yeah, and speaking about small towns, just because you're from a small town doesn't mean that you cannot make it. Like bands from Sungai Petani, are making it big. Bands from Kelantan are making it big. So I think it's really just putting in the hard work. It's the principle lah. Yeah, because I mean, some of the coolest bands are from Kajang. K-Town Clan is one of them.
Oh yes, shout out to K-Town. Yeah.
So, X-Shell, the Padangs, what is that? Dichi Michi, now they're known as Prajurit. Like some of the guys from, it's Kajang and Bangi area. I just found out that Hanis, the new singer from Gerhana, I mean, so there are two singers, right, in Gerhana. So one of the girls have moved on, so the new singer, she's actually from Kajang too, I just found out. And then we've got obviously, I think the guys from Poetic Emo also at that time. So Landslide and Loco, they went to Kajang High School. They were basically the K-Town Clans, like super seniors.
That's right.
Yeah, so all these, and Alifs is also from Kajang. I just found out he stays in Sungai Long.
Right, I see. Yeah.
So
another super talented guy, man. Really talented.
Ning Baizura as well. Like, so all these people, like so many of them, came from Kajang. So Kajang, I believe, is a really cool town.
Yeah.
And,
there's something about it, it seems to be, incubating and, creating and growing some of these, talents that we see.
That's true. Yeah, there's this young producer as well, Chris M. Young. He stays like right in town itself. Yeah, Chris M. Young, like he's in the Chinese industry, but he's been producing like crazy stuff, like I think he's probably won some awards as well. And his sister produces like dark electronic stuff. I think she's in US now. Yeah, so all these kinds of people, coming out of Kajang, and I'm like, wow, you guys, I have no idea how, because you went to a Chinese school, that is basically, you only look at your books and nothing else, But then they're creating all these cool stuff, I'm like, wow,
I mean, that sounds like an idea for a documentary or something like that there, man. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Kajang Town, man. Shout out to Kajang K Town.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been actually talking to Roshan, I said, I told him, like, if we were to have like a Kajang music festival, because in the past there was, they call it the Satay Town Festival.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right.
So many years ago, the hardcore kids of Kajang, like the guys from Padangs and all that, they were part of the Satay Town crew. This was when MySpace was still around. And
MySpace, yeah.
Yeah. And, they would host shows and, some of the most memorable shows were all in Kajang, And I was like, okay, I was talking to Roshan. I told him, can we actually do it? But it has to be an MPKJ thing. It must not be an independent event that we organize. It must come from the town council.
Yeah.
Because it's a town thing. Because
you are branding it that way. Yeah.
Correct. So I've been talking to him, but it's conversations that are periodic lah.
Yeah.
For many years already. I told him, hey, come on, let's do it at the stadium lah. Stadium, which is next
that
to.
will be quite epic. Yeah,
Yeah, correct.
Big, you got a venue for it.
Correct. Which town has a stadium? Like maybe you got like Dewan, what's that? Dewan Serbaguna lah, right? You got a multi-purpose hall or like you got Dewan yeah. But I don't think each town has a stadium. So Kajang has a stadium, next to the main like satay area as well. So I think that is actually something, Yeah. So brands, if you guys are watching, come, let's do something, okay? I don't want to name you guys, but I can. Let's just do something, okay? Kajang is an amazing place, we should do stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. I mean, it could be, there could be so many things,
Yeah.
This could be really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe ask Haji Samuri to sponsor lah.
For, I mean, music and also satay, man.
Yeah. Like two
And
killer combinations, you enjoy yourself, your ears enjoy, your tummy also enjoy.
well, two things for Malaysians love lah.
Yeah.
Super, super cool. Yeah. So, what's next in store then? For maybe yourself personally, and for the band.
Yeah.
What's next? What's in store? Anything to plug? Anything to promote?
Yeah. I think personally, I just hope that this year will end strong, because since the lockdown has been lifted, shows are happening. Atas Angin, you got House Boom, you got, Pesta Kita that's coming up, and then there's the Fly FM show that happened last week, and like just right in KL, so many, then you got like the Shivas, and the Tiger and the Guinness shows and stuff like that. So many things are happening, and I just hope that this momentum will just keep going. Yeah. So for other people lah, especially, it's good to see people out. It's good to see new artists being put on larger stages.
Yes.
I always believe that, if you always put the big guys, the young guys will never get an opportunity. So it has to be, a healthy cycle. And it has to transfer lah. You will have the nostalgic bands, and then you gotta have the newer ones as well. But on the band side of things, we've already put out like a bunch of songs this year, which we've got two songs nominated on Anugerah Lagu Indie.
Congrats.
Which is great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so we've got
Too Good to Be True.
Too Good to Be True,
which features Reshma, right?
Yep.
And also
Forget Me,
the one with Reckless, with
Reckless
Ian
Escapades.
and
Lynn.
And Lynn, yeah.
So I think like I'm looking forward to those things. But at the same time, we've got a track that we're still recording now here in the studio. We've got lead guitars to go, and then we've got vocals to be done, and then we'll be able to put out that track. But I think looking at the timeline, we're not rushing anymore lah. Yeah, initially there was kind of like a timeline, but we figured, okay, if we rush the timeline, that means we will be chasing I think having a timeline is great.
Yeah.
No doubt. So every band out there, if you're an artist, always have timelines. But be strict with it, because that is discipline.
Yeah.
But I think you will come to a point where you're like, okay, let's figure things out along the way. I think we're at that point right now where we're no longer rushing. Some parties involved as well that made us want to keep to the timing. But I think we are like, okay lah, never mind lah. Let's just be punk about it and like rock and roll. Yeah. So so new track coming out for sure. I reckon maybe December, but December is Christmas time. It's probably not the best. So let's just make it a 2023 punya song. Yeah. Then we'll put it all together in an album.
Yeah.
So but an album is definitely coming as well. I think I've been listening to a lot of different styles of music. Rap. Some of the more Korean stuff as well. Just trying to get ideas from everywhere, and Japanese sounds. And it's cool, when music that's coming from these regions, although they may be playing in the same genre, but it sounds a little bit different, So I think, just learning bits and pieces, and then trying to up the production ideas as well. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much what's happening. And 26th November, which is the show. In fact, at the time of the recording, of this recording, maybe an hour ago, we were just talking to the organizer that let's make this show happen. Yeah. So 26th November at the B, it'll probably start at 3 p.m. There'll be 8 bands playing. Not so many, but I think good enough to call it like a festival, a mini festival. And each band will play a little bit longer, about 45 minutes.
Nice.
Instead of the usual like 20 or like 30 minutes. So so that's gonna be fun. 26th November, and then 17th December, which is the Christmas show. And if you guys are watching this, you all want to play, just hit me up.
I think this will be just perfect, because I think if things go right, this would probably come out on, I don't have a calendar, it'll be on that week just before the 26th. Yeah.
Okay.
Because 26 is a weekend, right?
Yeah, 26 is weekend, Saturday.
Oh,
yeah.
This might come out on the 25th or maybe a week earlier. It's around that time.
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully people listen to it, then we'll know about it. But the timing will be perfect then.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, there's a lot of incredible lessons just sharing about your story, your pathway. And again, my aim and my goal is that if there's someone out there listening, it could be an up and coming kid, another musician, someone who wants to figure out, hey, what's my career path going to be like? So just listening to your story and listening to all the stories which of all the people I had the opportunity of chatting with. They'll learn something. They'll learn something and say, hey, it's possible. I can do this as well. I can do that as well. Yeah. So just helping them realize the possibilities. Man.
Yeah. I think the key word, that probably like the last thing that I want to mention is the only way for you to really succeed is to be very, very disciplined and to be strict with yourself, with your bandmates. And when I say discipline, it means to be very good at time management. Because when I was studying in uni, I had Amir 3, I had an honest mistake, and I also had another project. Plus, I was alone in Malaysia because my parents left the country to go and work outside of Malaysia. My brother left in 2006 because that was the same year that I went to uni. So he left in 2006 to go to Australia to live, So from 2006 up till maybe about 3 to 4 years ago, I have been living on my own, So that really meant that I had to be very, very disciplined if I wanted to keep the house, maintain the car, pay the bills and, work and get a job and all these things. So I went through a chunk of that, in order to be where I am today with proper and careful time management. Yeah. So, for some of you who are wondering, I'm doing like a law degree or whatever. I got no time for music, but if you have a desire, it all starts with that. If you have a desire to want to do something with your additional talent, by all means, go for it, but just plan well. And it also, being in an Asian culture, living in Malaysia, there's so much more that we need to convince. Parents will always ask, "Hey, you make money? Can make money? Doing music." But the thing is, this last thing that I want to leave with you, with you guys, is don't quit your day job if you have a day job. Let this music thing be an overtime thing. Like Leonard used to make a joke and say, "Oh, so he'll get asked by people like, wow, your music now you full time lah." "Oh no, this one overtime," which is actually true. Because you do music after work.
Correct. That's the reality.
That's the reality
for most majority of people. Yeah.
But I think that is what maintains the balance as well. Because if eventually, if music doesn't take off, you have a real job,
to fall back on.
To fall back on, you don't need to worry about like, oh, I got no money lah. But you see, the thing is about music is that you need money to play music. You need, like, even the simplest things, like changing your guitar strings, that costs like 25 ringgit. It's money still, So where's that money going to come from if you're not able to do shows? And I think the reality of that was really like displayed throughout the pandemic.
Exactly.
No shows, nothing, cannot do anything. How? Right? So, but if you had a real job, you would be able to maintain, So I think, don't quit your day job. Just do music because it's something fun. When I was teaching, I taught English 9 to 5. After that, it was all music. And I was always looking forward to leaving work. And I left work at work. I didn't bring work home, and it was all just fun. Whereas all my other colleagues, they would bring home their work lah, continue marking and preparing their lessons, and they would just go and like have a simple dinner and then go home and sleep and then repeat. But I had so much more to look forward to. So
and thanks to music.
Thanks to music.
Thanks to music. So how do people reach you?
So if you guys want to reach me, just
social media.
Hit me up on Instagram, Darren AHM. I am always on my phone. And or if you want to check the band out, it's AHM Band. We're on Spotify. Our Facebook page is no longer available because somebody hacked it. So I'm like,
shoot.
I don't know what happened, but it's okay. Who uses Facebook now? It's all Instagram. But it's cool. I think,
only your old uckers are using Facebook.
So YouTube is an Honest Mistake TV, and a lot of our videos are all on there, and they're organized properly. And there are a couple of crosses as well with JD's videos, with the MixStream stuff.
That's right.
So definitely check those out as well. Some of the production stuff, and so that's how you can reach me. But another way is Darren Teh on Twitter. Twitter is back. I know you've been tweeting all this while.
And you do from time to time.
Yeah, from time to time, and
you'll
then,
always have always love your your band related takes about about this on some of the things which you've we should put a list one of these days and ask everyone what are your pet peeves about what's your top 10 list of all the pet peeves for organizers and all that. Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Also, Rakita is your show.
Rakita is
the Lokala show.
So it's Lokala at Rakita 107.9. Happens every Saturday 2 p.m. all the way to 4 p.m. and it repeats on Sundays at 5 p.m. So if you want to go online, and if you're not from the Klang Valley, rakita.my is where you can stream the live show. Or if you want to send your music, lokalah at rakita.my is the email to send to. All right. So send me your music, send me your press kit, your press release, a bit of info, and send me the WAV file, okay? MP3 also can, but don't send me a Spotify link because I can't do anything, all right?
Listen to that, okay? I know that's one of your biggest pet peeves about people who approach you, again, you want people to rate you to play a song, you got to present yourself properly.
That's
another
true.
important lesson for bands. I mean, so many good lessons from you, man, and it's really, really well said, really, really beautifully said. Yeah. Thanks for sharing this.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me. I was so excited to just be here.
Nice. And
Yeah.
then, well, we'll see you. I'll see you again in a couple of days.
Yeah,
We got
for
some
sure.
studios. We got some more recording to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Back to our regular programming.
Yeah.
All right. So,
All right.
bye everyone.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bing bang.